And Alex is going to come do an update on our vessel, our ocean liner. Not boat.
Yeah, exactly, not a boat. Good morning. So this is by far the biggest roller coaster I've ever been on. It's been a ride so far, but we are moving along slowly. I'm sure you've seen it in the media. I'm sure you've heard it, around town. I'm sure you've seen it on social media. And I'm here to provide a very brief update on where we are today and why the boat is still, the ship, ocean liner, is still in Philadelphia. So we took ownership back in mid-October, and shortly after, we were getting everything in place to go ahead and move that boat down to Mobile. I keep saying boat. Move it down to Mobile. As you remember, we had a couple late season storms that were supposed to impact the tow route from Philadelphia all the way down to Mobile, so we delayed things for a little bit. During that time, the U.S. Coast Guard got some documents together and put a captain of the port order on us in mid-November, which prevents us from moving that boat. I'll keep saying boat until it sticks. When that captain of the port order came out, it prevented us from moving it, but we had to satisfy specific items within that order in order for us to leave. One of which was to provide a little more information related to the tow plan. Another was to prove that the tugboats that we were hiring were capable of pushing around a vessel of this size. And then probably most importantly, or the biggest sticking point by the Coast Guard, was to prove that the boat was stable to be able to make it from Philadelphia all the way down to Mobile. The reason being is the data that's out there for this vessel is very, very old, from the 1950s. So they were putting the burden of proof on us to prove or collect the data necessary to prove that the boat would make it. Keep in mind, it was actually towed from the Mediterranean over to Philadelphia in its current condition. So it made it from there to here. I think it's in pretty good condition, but we needed to provide that information. We immediately hired an independent contractor, a naval architect, to help us with this. He got on board and did some back-of-the-envelope calculations to not necessarily prove that the vessel was stable, but to prove that the vessel was not stable. And the Coast Guard was not satisfied with that, rough estimate, and provided us with a much larger list of items for us to complete. The reason we got this large list of items is because they've kind of moved those goalposts for us a few times over the course of this process, and we wanted specific information on what they wanted and how they wanted us to do it. And since that last update came out back in, December 10th or so, we've hit the ground with doing, setting up a test that will actually move water from one side of the boat, actually filling tanks and moving water from one side of the boat to the other, to see how much the vessel lifts to one side or another. And that will allow us to calculate what the center of gravity is for that boat, and finally put to rest that this boat is stable enough to make it from Philadelphia down to Mobile. So that's where we are today. That test is going to happen early next week before Christmas, and then we hope to have those updated results and summary over to the Coast Guard before New Year's. With that, if there's any questions, I'm happy to answer it. But I think that last question is, when will the United States depart Philadelphia? And as of right now, we don't know. Odds are it's going to be early 2025.
So, like you said, there's been a lot of stuff in the media, and so I would love to hear from you some clarity on, there's been some conversations about this is costing us more money than we had originally planned, and where are those funds coming from?
Yep, so the overall all-in budget is $10.1 million. $1 million of that actually is going to a land-based museum, but right now we are not expecting to exceed that budget. Fortunately, we're actually saving a little bit of money remaining in Philadelphia because the dockage there is less expensive. And the contractor that we've hired is able to do little tasks that he was planning on doing once he got down to Mobile. So the timeline is actually going to remain the same with deployment around this time next year. So the budget is remaining the same as of right now, and the timeline is remaining the same. Yep, and there's a number, when we first proposed this project, we had approached a number of private partnerships with different companies and neighboring counties, and those are starting to come about. I suspect we're going to start bringing agreements to the TDC and the BCC in the coming month, which will really offset that $10.1 million all-in budget that we have obligated right now.
And then there was a conversation about there was a $100,000 fee or something.
Yep. So with the agreement with Penn Warehousing, where the vessel is currently being docked, we had an agreement with them for berthing, so monthly berthing fees, and then there was also a fine if we weren't able to get the vessel out of Philadelphia in the first 2 months, which that date was December 14th, I believe. So we actually ended up having to pay that $100,000, but it's still within our budget of $10.1.
And there was an initial payment of $50,000 too that people don't remember. That was just the signing bonus for the warehouse folks, but that's the situation we're in, so.
And Craig has negotiated another agreement with Penn Warehousing that doesn't include any sort of penalty fees. So we're just paying the regular berthing agreement. And Penn Warehousing has been great to work with recently.
They've been great to work with. They've put some positive comments in the media about us and working with them compared to the Conservancy, so we're happy, and I think they enjoy us being there, and we're going to do our best to get her out of there quickly as possible for sure. So.
Any other questions? Bring it on.
Thank you very much.